victories, including 38 knockouts, with 3 defeats and 2 draws. From Sarangani Province, the fighting pride of the Philippines, the 8-time world champion, recognized as pound for pound the best in the world, the reigning, defending WBO welterweight champion of the world, Manny Pacquiao!
Atmosphere is nothing short of sensational. As Tony Weeks gives the final instruction.
Anything below that's low. Aquí está bien, aquí no. It goes right here, it's okay. Anything below that's low. Aquí está bien, aquí no. Keep everything above the waist. De los cintura para arriba. I want a good, clean fight. Y aquí no la play limpia. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Escúchame, cuídate. Listos? Let's go. Vámonos.
25. Here we go. So Pacquiao, the southpaw in the blue trunks with the red trim and in the black trim with a little bit of red around the middle is Juan Manuel Marquez.
Marquez looks pretty thick, strong, doesn't look completely out of the ordinary for this weight class, and I know much has been made of him being fighting out of the lightweight class.
Well, you know, he came up in weight. This is the 147-pound division. They signed at a catch weight of 144, but he weighed in at 142, which is just about where he should be for this fight. He had a strength and conditioning coach working on him to get him stronger. The thing he must avoid early is getting knocked down, because that's the only thing that separated him in the first 2 fights from the draw, and Manny winning the second on one judge's scorecard by 1 point and a split decision.
That's exactly it. If he can stay on his feet, then it's a much different fight.
Well, remember that you take away the 2 knockdown rounds, that actually Juan Manuel Marquez has won more rounds than Manny Pacquiao in his 2 fights.
Nothing between them in the first minute of this fight. And listen to the crowd, they're into it.
Marquez has been able to reach Pacquiao with right hands, both counter rights and lead rights. But of course, it was the straight left hand of Pacquiao that did the most damage in recording knockdowns.
And don't forget, for the southpaw, that's the power hand of Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao to the left of your screen, that's Marquez with his back to you. Tries to test downstairs, but doesn't quite catch Manny.
Both fighters have so much respect for each other, and they're both class acts, and they're both in and out of the ring, and it could be a chess match, but an explosion at any minute for either one.
Well, Manny finally opened up there and let it go, and you could hear the reaction by the Filipinos in the crowd, and there's probably equally as many Mexicans here, so there's going to be a lot of chanting as this one goes and unfolds.
This round for these 2 fighters fought fairly cautiously.
It is a cautious first round. 2 minutes by the boards here. Not a lot between them in this first round.
That left hand of Manny just shot out like a rocket. He unfortunately missed for Marquez.
Manny has a definite edge in speed.
And size.
Marquez's edge is in technique and the style that seems to befuddle Manny at times.
He's probably the best at adjusting and adapting to his opponent.
Marquez waiting on Pacquiao here, it looks like, because he wants to counter.
Good quick combination landed by Pacquiao.
The bell ends of
can counter.
Between them, the judges probably will lean to Pacquiao in the first round. This is round number 2. Of course, this is scheduled for 12. Most people don't expect this one to go a full 12, with Marquez coming up in weight.
I thought Marquez looked a little tight to me in round 1.
Now, there's a lot of pressure on him, too, you know. This is a new venture for him coming up to this weight. And he felt the power of this guy in the first 2 fights. But as you pointed out, Rich, he actually won more rounds, so he still has to be cautious that he doesn't get clipped and knocked down early here, especially.
Well, it's the technique and the skill level. It's hard to get much better than Marquez. One thing you can't always account for is speed and power, and Manny's been able to bring that up better than anyone.
And he's an excellent counterpuncher, is Marquez, and that's what he's waiting for here. That's why he's not really getting off first. But Manny said, if he comes first, I'll counterpunch him. So Manny's trying to force the fight a little bit more now.
Yeah, he's picking up his work output, and I think the fight's about to start here.
Marquez digs downstairs again, just to the side.
There's a violent exchange brewing.
Pacquiao does score knockdowns, of course, with suddenness.
And for Marquez, he just has to totally concentrate, and especially after he throws punches now that we know that Manny's going to try and counterpunch him.
But I'm interested in seeing tonight if Marquez can be as successful with his right hands, and I mean right leads, not just counter rights. He hit Pacquiao in both fights a ton of times with right hand leads, but Manny's a different fighter now. He's a better fighter now.
Completely different fighter, much more well-rounded. His footwork, his angles, the fact that he's a southpaw, and the fact that he's been able to bring that speed and power up, make it very, very difficult, even for someone as gifted as Marquez.
Yeah, and he just doesn't stop, Mario. He comes at you all the time. He's in front of you. He's got the footwork. He's got the hand speed. Marquez, wow, with the right hand, finally lands another right hand upstairs. And you hear the reaction of the crowd every time Marquez does something definitive, or in that case, Manny does. The Filipinos go crazy.
There's the counter right from Marquez.
Didn't quite get it into his chin, though, but it's there.
I asked the sparring partners, what is it other than the obvious about Pacquiao that makes it so difficult? And they say the continuous volume of punches and the angles.
And he had some great sparring with Jorge Linares, a world champion in his own right, who has a style like Marquez, but a little bit quicker than Marquez. So Manny gets some great work in the gym.
Oh, Manny gets the absolute best sparring available in preparation for his fights. So far, we have a chess match, gentlemen.
Well, there's the 26th.
I will take a look at some of the action now from round two. Pacquiao, that quick little left. Marquez ducking under the right. Mostly sparring between these two. Marquez, I thought, picked it up a little bit, landed that right down the middle. And I gave the second round to Marquez after giving the first round to Manny.
I think I agree with you, Rich, because he had a...
But again, we'll have to control that. This is round number 3. Scheduled for 12. Manny Pacquiao on the blue trunks to the left of your screen with the blue and red shoes on. And that's Juan Manuel Marquez, the lightweight champion of the world, decked out in the black and white with a red trim around the middle.
Freddie Roach, who's pretty good about these things in terms of predictions and analyzing how a fight will go, has said that he thinks that Manny will knock out Marquez this time, and he thinks he'll knock him out within 6 rounds. We'll see.
That was a nice uppercut by Marquez. Counter uppercut. And usually Freddie isn't so bold with the predictions unless he really believes in it.
He said that it was the best training camp ever for Manny. Manny wasn't quite as positive about it being the best, but he said it was certainly one of the best. This kid has a lot on his plate, being a congressman, being a singing star in the Philippines, and a movie actor. Right.
The list goes on.
I would say I've never seen any athlete really at an elite level who's ever been able to compartmentalize the way that Manny Pacquiao does.
Absolutely 100% agree with you. And be successful at it.
And be such a sweetheart of a person in every place except where he is right now, in the ring.
And that left is really shooting out like a cannon for Pacquiao and narrowly missing Marquez.
I'll tell you one thing that is surprising the Pacquiao people is they thought that Marquez bulked up because they thought he was going to come out and go strong for a knockout and try to come back and bring the fight to Manny Pacquiao. And that's not the way it's developed. He's dropping back a step at a time, looking for the counters.
Well, Marquez as of late has turned into a much more offensive-minded fighter, which has made him much more entertaining, but I think very wise and smart of him to revert back to counterpunching when dealing with Pacquiao.
Now that's his strength, Mario, as you well know, and Rich. So why change up on it in spite of the fact you're going up in weight? You got to land some right hands, though.
Marquez doing a good job keeping Pacquiao at bay.
You saw Pacquiao with a little foot feint, but Marquez didn't buy it.
Juan trying to get his jab to work. So many differences from 2004 till now between these two. I remember in the first fight, Pacquiao had neither a beard nor a mustache. Second fight, he had a mustache. Now he has both. And you want to know a big difference, just take a look at their purses. Pacquiao, $600,000 for that first fight. He's getting minimum $22 million tonight.
Wow. Again, the counter-punching of Marquez doing well. Manny right on top. Look at folks, and when we have the little wider shot, that the size of the legs of the calves of Manny Pacquiao in comparison to Marquez, that's where the power is generated.
No comparison. A nice right hook by Pacquiao.
Pacquiao.
As did I.
Yes.
And so I've got him ahead by a point. Really, either round could have gone either way. I mean, the
All
three rounds.
three of them.
Incredibly close fight so far.
So again, we go back to the 3 knockdowns in the first round of the first fight and 1 knockdown in the second fight. And other than that, there's no difference between these two guys, even through 3 here in Las Vegas tonight.
This is shaping up, or at least the first 3 rounds have been as the least explosive of the 3 fights. It may turn into that. We have yet to see, but the rounds fought more cautiously here so far tonight than the first 2 fights.
Well, as the heavier 38-year-old, when I say heavier coming up in weight for him, he's going to wear down because Manny keeps tremendous pressure on him. And if he wears down, Pacquiao will turn it up a notch and then start pot-shotting him.
Well, that footwork is just tremendous. And the way Manny uses his angles and gets in and out of there, it's unparalleled.
Manny is looking to land a short right hook over the outstretched left jab of Marquez. He's shown it a couple of times now, and that could be a key punch in this fight. Watch for it when Marquez throws that jab out. A little quick right hook over it by Pacquiao.
A little more than a minute gone in the 4th round. Still not a lot between them. Marquez comes with the big, all at that time, the straight right hand, and then left hand, rather, and then the big left hook, but he didn't really catch Manny. Total concentration in the eyes of both men.
Marquez looking for that perfect counter punch.
Right eye of Marquez beginning to show some wear.
That's also been a hallmark of the later years of Marquez.
Unintentional punch, the heads up.
A lot more puffiness in the eyes and some bleeding.
Heads came together, but no blood.
But you're right, Rich. He does have a tendency to swell easy.
Going off to that wide hook with the left hand to the body of Pacquiao, but they're in such great shape. Unless you can get a real crisp, hard hook into the body of Manny, it's not going to take any toll on him. He's too hard in the middle.
When Marquez goes to that wide stance, he's usually looking for the right lead.
Manny getting a lot of success now, being a lot more accurate with that left.
And his footwork, as you pointed out earlier, watch it, folks, it's magnificent.
It's one of the quickest feet I think I've ever seen, actually.
Constantly coming forward, but knows when to zip out of there.
Big looping punch, partially blocked by Pacquiao. Oh, a nice right hand by Marquez. The same that you're getting caught. Manny Pacquiao coming back. Nice body shot by Marquez and a nice counter right hand by Marquez. Best shot of the fight for Juan Manuel. Here's another look at it. Overhand right. Catching Manny's
Hands pointing Marquez went nuts.
All right, this is round number 5. The Colonel Bob Schroeder, Rich Murata, and Mario Lopez at ringside here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. The principals in there for the WBO World Welterweight Championship. Manny Pacquiao to the right of your screen, the southpaw fighter in the blue trunks, the red trim, and the reigning lightweight champion of the world, Juan Manuel Marquez.
crowd chanting "Si se puede." Yes, we can. And Marquez showing some heart, showing some spirit. Pacquiao was seemed to be getting into a groove in the last fight, in the last round, pardon me.
Good body work by Marquez early in this round.
Marquez up on his toes, trying to show some good footwork in his own right for the 38-year-old legs who's been in all kinds of wars. This is his third fight with Pacquiao. Had the fight with Floyd Mayweather.
Beautiful uppercut from
Sneaky
Marquez.
uppercut from Marquez.
He can do it all. 2 wars with Juan Diaz, Chris John, Manuel Medina, Casamayor, Robbie Peden. All very tough fights for the aging champion, Marquez, who doesn't look like an old man tonight, I'll tell you.
Pacquiao trying to force a fight here now. I think he's getting a little impatient.
Which might play into the hands of Marquez with a nice counter.
to get something going. He's been pot shotted a couple of times in this round. They're past the midway point in this round, and Manny hasn't won the round yet.
Marquez doing a good job of keeping the distance, countering with that uppercut and straight right. This is Marquez's round so far. Nice jab by Juan Manuel. Marquez fighting very smart, very cautious, staying on the outside, by the outside and having effective counterpunching.
I think the people that handle Manny Pacquiao are surprised by the fact that Marquez is so patient. They know he's a great fighter.
That's a big right hand by Juan Manuel, very effective. Pacquiao getting a little frustrated, gonna let his hands go. Will it play into the hands of Marquez?
Well, Marquez caught him with that right hand and put him back on his heels.
Sure did. He staggered him for a moment.
Marquez fighting a perfect fight.
And another beautiful uppercut by Juan Manuel. And he is surprising a lot of people, Rich, because a lot of people thought he might be done at this point.
Well, you're not sitting next to one of them.
And another beautiful right by Marquez.
By far Marquez's best round of the fight with about 10 seconds to go.
Frustration has got to be setting in. Manny Pacquiao hasn't seen this kind of diversity. Or probably adversity in a while.
That's the first round. All right, let's take a look at the action. That started it. A beautiful uppercut from long range with the left hand. Very unusual punch. Then Marquez staggered Pacquiao with that overhand right. That's been his most successful punch in 2 fights, the first 2 fights with Pacquiao, and it's coming to the fore again here tonight in this third fight. Marquez really landed some tremendous blows.
Now, he doesn't want Marquez to settle into what he did in that 5th round.
Did Marquez find a groove? Can he sustain? Will Pacquiao suddenly flip the switch and unleash that powerful left hand?
Well, in the last fight, they were basically alternating rounds. Nobody could sustain. So we'll see if Manny follows that script and bounces back here in round 6.
And we're already at the halfway point. I can't believe it.
Now, the chess match started out, you could score any of the first 4 rounds either way. I gave most of them to Manny. First round, absolutely too close to call. But the 5th round was definitive, and now we are in 6th.
First definitive round for Marquez.
Almost a minute gone, and this one's a toss-up. But Manny hasn't changed. I mean, he hasn't, really let the adrenaline flow catch up with him. He's still trying to box this guy. Big shot.
It's one of those situations, gentlemen, where Marquez has a little success. Does he press the gas a little bit? Does he go forward? And does he leave himself more susceptible in doing so?
Well, he's sticking to his game plan. And I think that the game plan he's exhibiting has not been the one that Pacquiao expected.
Absolutely not. A minute and a half gone in this 6th round, and Marquez is outboxing him in the 6th. As he did in the 5th. There he is with the body. Manny's not frustrated, but things aren't going all his way.
He has not exploded yet. They're waiting for that. I think people feel that as soon as he hits him a hard blow that Marquez is going to hit the canvas.
Yeah, but so far the hard blow, that one came short. That was a good one. And now the war breaks out.
Those didn't land clean, though.
Nothing was clean there at all. The crowd, most of them, you can't see those short punches inside.
Marquez having success with that sort of wide uppercut. There's a double right hand, beautiful double lead right hand by Marquez.
And that's what you were asking for, Rich. And Marquez catches it with a left hand. 30 seconds to go in the round. Marquez slightly out in front.
It's interesting, you hear the fans chanting for Marquez. He told me yesterday, whispered in my ear, nobody believes in me.
Well, these Mexican fans are here to cheer him on. And I believe in him. I think he's a terrific fighter.
One of the best. And Rich, I know you've known him from the get. You gotta be proud to see him at this point.
I'm just really not surprised. let's take a look at the action there in round 6 as we hit the halfway point. Beautiful shot by Manny Pacquiao. Hit and don't get hit as he backed out of there. Later on in the round, Marquez had a successful several moments as he landed to the body.
Double right hand by Marquez, both landing flush on Manny Pacquiao. 2 rounds in a row.
Everything else is a toss-up. Only a point separating these. All right, here we go. The second half of the fight, round 7. So, into the third fight, only a point separating the guys in 3 fights.
It's a different fight. We've got a boxing match tonight. And Manny, that was interesting. He just kind of put his hands down for a second like, I don't quite have my rhythm here.
I think he's a little frustrated, Rich. I think he was going to walk through this guy. I think he feels that he's not in his groove. And he's by far not out of it at all. And could change it in an instant. But at this point, I think he thought he was going to be far ahead on the cards. We don't know if that's the case. And of course, this is the round that Freddie Rose predicted. And another big overhand right by Marquez.
Actually, we're already around past his 6th-round prediction. We're in the 7th.
Marquez has actually had more knockouts after 6 than has Pacquiao.
Where's the explosiveness of Manny Pacquiao tonight?
Not there. He's not there yet.
And that's what makes it such a tense situation. You use the right word, yet. I'm waiting for it. My stomach's in a knot waiting for it.
Pacquiao unable to connect, unable to time and find Marquez.
Marquez doing a terrific job defensively and then doing what he has to do offensively to, gain the judges' confidence when they put that score down. Midway through the
beautiful body shot by Marquez.
Stands with the left hand. Manny's got his hands full tonight. To this point, anyway. And I'm like you, Rich. When's he going to explode? But we both know what Marquez can do. And he's doing it so far.
Well, the reason I don't assume anything is because I can remember Marquez in the 3rd round of the last fight. He was really dominating the round and getting off to a great start in that fight. And I remember my broadcast partner that night was Wally Matthews. And he said, I got news for you guys. Manny Pacquiao's going down tonight. And it wasn't 10 seconds after that Pacquiao hit Marquez that great left hook that sent him to the canvas.
42 seconds to go in the 7th round. And Marquez having what I think is another good round.
Another solid round and a solid combination by Marquez. And I believe there's a little blood coming from the mouth of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao getting a little stunned from an overhand right.
And that right hand really whacked him. Left hand in his face. Manny's got to be frustrated now.
And all the dreams of a $100 million fight against Floyd Mayweather could go up in smoke tonight if Manny Pacquiao does not get things back together again. And I'm not saying he can't. He may very well do just that.
Now he's a sensation.
Beautiful uppercut. Beautiful uppercut by Juan Manuel Marquez. He is showing his arsenal of punches tonight, and that is 3. But keep doing the same thing as what Nacho Beristain is saying to Juan Manuel Marquez.
Now what Bob said, and although it sounds ridiculously obvious, the fight is so true. Marquez must avoid knockdowns. It appears as though he's building a lead.
It does appear, and we're already in the 8th round. And Freddie Roach brought to his attention that he believes he's falling behind.
Well, the first 4 rounds are basically could go either way. But then Marquez 5, 6, and 7 very definitively in his favor. And this is the type of fight that you can get the controversy afterwards because it depends on how those judges saw the very close rounds.
Well, in my opinion, gentlemen, those last 3 rounds weren't close.
No, the last 3 rounds were definitive. That's why if Pacquiao gets a decision like right now, people go crazy because Marquez has been definitive at the end of the last 3 rounds of it.
And just like you said, Rich, Marquez doing a brilliant job with his distance, keeping him at bay, the counter-punching, not engaging in a full-out exchange where he leaves himself vulnerable.
And he tries to go with a little left-hand lead, but it misses.
You just never can be sure, and Marquez showing some swelling now, that left eye.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But you can never be sure how rematches are going to go in terms of their style. Remember the explosive Barrera-Morales first fight. It was just an unbelievable battle. Second fight, fought right here at the MGM Grand, a 12-round decision, and it was fought at a much more measured pace and a boxing match like this.
Beautiful combination, uppercut straight right by Marquez, and a big right hook that Pacquiao's landed, and he hasn't landed those in a while. Marquez has got to be on point defensively at all times.
And he knows that. He told us in the fighter meetings yesterday, he just can't let his guard down for 1 second in the fight. You lose your concentration with Pacquiao, and you can be on your keister in a hurry.
And he knows that better than anyone.
Yeah, he does. And he's fighting, I think he's fighting a brilliant fight to this point.
Colonel, 100% brilliant fight. I'm actually quite impressed because I thought, to be honest, not the skill level of Marquez that I ever questioned, but just the speed and the power and him coming up in the weight class that I think possibly might be too much.
You know, great champions sometimes come up with that one last great fight, and this might be the night for Marquez. But there's still a lot of time to go.
And a big left hook by Marquez.
Boy, the counter punches by Marquez have been the story tonight. And as I said that just to say that, he goes in the right-hand lead, and that's what you're asking for. And he's done it on several occasions. He's beaten Manny to the punch now with a jab.
Pacquiao hasn't found the
He hasn't found the key of the rhythm. This is another Marquez round.
This is another Marquez round. Very busy, much more effective round for Marquez.
Straight left hand down the middle, but not enough to give. All right, we go to round number 9 at the MGM Grand Garden Vegas. Everything that we thought it would be. The WBO World Welterweight Championship, Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez 3. You know, just in case Marquez does pull this off, there's a return clause, so the trilogy will go to a 4th fight.
It's okay with me.
Yeah, with me too.
I can see these guys every week.
Because now with all the rounds they've fought, there's no point separating them. If the judges have Marquez in front by 1 point at this stage. Oh yeah, really clipped. And that lands behind the head. He didn't mean it, but that's where he hit him, and Manny felt it.
Fight really has been fought cleanly.
Well, they're two very clean fighters. The heads have clashed, I think, just 1 time, so no problems there.
Which is surprising considering Manny's a southpaw.
Yeah, it's usually when you see it happen, but they're at the same height. There's Marquez getting off first, the jab getting through. Marquez just fighting a brilliant fight. Pacquiao just doesn't see it himself, but you know, it's not that he's not there, Rich. It's that Marquez is taking it away from him.
A lot of times when he starts to rush in, now Marquez just sticks his left out and he negates his rush.
Still get the idea Manny could drop him, but you notice Marquez holding that right hand very high. And he's got to keep the left hand up there too, and he's picking off a lot of the right hand shots, the hooks by Pacquiao. Pacquiao came with an uppercut that time, but couldn't catch a piece of the chin.
Well, Manny's picking it up. I mean, he's picking up his volume of punches here. He's trying to throw more, trying to force a firefight.
Going much more to the uppercuts is Pacquiao. That's about 5 he's thrown in this round. It's a half hook, half uppercut with his left hand, which would really be a cross for the southpaw fighter. And he caught Marquez with a pretty good shot that time, but doesn't take any effect. These are the types of exchanges you look for, but who's getting the best of it? Manny has turned it up, but Marquez was right with him and might have landed a heavier blow. But now is when age can begin to show, and the tough fights, but no! Here's the war!
These are the exchanges we love, but the ones that Marquez doesn't need to be getting in if he wants to continue to lead in the scorecards.
16 seconds ago, and I can't tell you who won this round. It was a better round for Manny.
Manny wants the brawl, now he's getting it. This is good for Pacquiao.
Yeah, but who won the round?
Pacquiao relentless with his stalking. Another look at the beautiful uppercut right hand combination that's worked so well for Marquez tonight.
But that was the round of the fight so far.
And that was the first round that was a throwback to their first two fights.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, Marquez is not in the situation now to want to get in the accident, correct?
I would think that's exactly the case.
The problem is, guys, you both know this. The nature of a fighter when some guy attacks you is to fight. And also, as the fatigue begins to set in, you can be lulled into a brawl, and that's not what he wants to do, but he certainly didn't take any steps back in that last round, which was a Pacquiao brawling round.
But because of the pace of the fight, I don't think it's one that Marquez should be feeling any fatigue yet.
And one person who we know is not tired is Manny Pacquiao, and who carries the power in the 12th round just as much as he did in the first.
And that might prove to be the difference in the fight, because it's very close right now, although I have Marquez slightly out in front.
So do I. And Colonel, those shots like that have been so telling in this fight for Marquez. Surprising and somewhat silencing his poor Filipino crowd.
Slowed down just a hair here in the first minute. And I get the idea it could explode any second here now. Right hand by Marquez. Manny comes back but can't land it, and he pushes Marquez down to the canvas, and Tony right on top of it. A little bit of an inside uppercut by Manny Pacquiao. And look at this guy battle back. Marquez is going to slug with him.
And it caught Manny Pacquiao's eye.
Manny Pacquiao showing that hand speed. Marquez's face looking beat up right now. But he's still doing a nice job, and I think winning the first almost 2 minutes of this round.
Pacquiao usually likes to touch gloves after that break. He came out swinging with that big uppercut. Frustration mounting.
Yeah, he hasn't done that when Marquez has hit him tonight. He hasn't tapped his gloves together as if, let's fight.
Now he realizes he's in a war. Straight left hand gets through by Manny. Marquez answers his counterpunching and sensational tonight. 1-2 combination by Marquez. Manny on the assault.
Manny with a cut, I think in a bad place with a glove, and trickle into his eye.
He had motion to his head like the heads came together.
Right.
Another big
Right hand, again by Marquez. Well, Marquez with a bombing down and bending down at the legs is making Manny miss a lot, too, which helps his counterpunching.
And Colonel, that right eye is closing for Marquez.
Huh?
Can it survive 2 more rounds?
Well, it will if he can stay on his feet. Boy, this is every...
All right, as they come in, Marquez leaning in, and then Pacquiao at the last second, and that's a pretty brutal headbutt. That was quite a collision of heads.
Unintentional.
And they're still punching after that.
He's starting to gain a little momentum, Nacho Beristain is saying. Here's a look at the big right hand from Marquez. I gotta tell you, gentlemen, I still had Marquez winning that round.
Well, we're all split on that one again. This comes down to 2 rounds. It's going to be just how the judges a couple of points. And that's the way I have it right now. I still have Marquez slightly out in front in this fight. It's championship time now. How's the conditioning in Marquez at 144? So far, no problems. He hasn't been down. He hasn't been shaken. Pacquiao's been shaken, I think, once, maybe twice in the fight. Brilliant effort by both men.
Colonel, you're exactly right. He has not been shaken. And more importantly, he has not been down. And can he remain on his feet in the next 2 rounds?
Well, that's going to be the difference in the fight. If he goes down now, it would be a disaster. Because he's within striking distance of winning this fight.
Well, it seems to me we could be coming down to another controversial decision where both guys think they won the fight when it's all over.
Well, it will be, Rich, and I mentioned that right away because the first 4 rounds of the fight were so close. And the last round was close. We were split on that.
But Pacquiao's getting there now.
Pacquiao is getting there, but if you look at the fight in the body language of Manny Pacquiao, I don't know if it so much says he's so confident that he walked away with this one cleanly. So far.
Now, if he wins this round, I got a dead even on my score sheet, and I get him slightly out in front just past the first minute in the 11th round.
By the way, odds on the draw were 18-1.
Wow. Marquez came into an 8-1 underdog, right? Another combination by Marquez.
Manny needs to land some shots here if he's going to take this round. And he's trying all he can. But there's no quitting this Marquez at 38 years of age, 6 years older than Manny Pacquiao. He got himself a tremendous physical condition to this fight. Less than a minute to go in the 11th round in championship time. Manny seems to have a little bit more right now, but he hasn't landed any clean blows, real clean.
You're right, Colonel. His tank does look a little more full. Marquez seems to be breathing heavy, and that knot's a little open, so can Manny capitalize is the question.
And it's too close for him to be able to cruise at all in this fight. Got a nice right hand through it, bounce ahead of Pacquiao.
Hold your breath in that last round. Once it gets to that last round, remember that earlier tonight, the Breeders' Prescott Mike Alvarado fight. And a quick note on that one, guys. I did find out that Breeders' Prescott was leading on all three scorecards when he was stopped in the final round.
And I had it that way too, and I think you did, Rick.
Manny Pacquiao, he usually ends his rounds in a flurry and in a great fashion.
12th round. Round 36, and I had a 1 point between them still, including the first two fights.
A lot of people think we weren't going to be here to this 12th round. I am so glad we are.
Well, it's been a wonderful fight between the aging Marquez and the brilliant pound for pound. Everybody thinks he's the greatest fighter in the world. This guy Pacquiao, champion at 112, 122, 130, 135, 147, 154 tonight, fighting at 147 for the world title, and he needs this round. Manny needs to explode. Marquez cannot afford to get caught.
I know I'm supposed to talk, but I'm holding my breath.
Me
So
too.
am I. I find myself holding my breath, too. And Marquez seems like he's gotten a slight burst of energy and fought a very tactical, brilliant fight so far. Can Manny Pacquiao close the show?
He can't let his guard down in the last 2 minutes of this fight. Nobody won the first minute of the final round.
Another right-hand lead.
Look at this. Look at the guy throwing the leather. Right back comes Pacquiao.
If he survives this round, it'll be the first fight he stayed on his feet through all 12 rounds.
And so far, I think Marquez is winning this final round.
Pac-Man a little bit desperate there.
And he's got to
A
be.
little bit wild.
He has to be,
What we
Rick.
haven't seen from Manny tonight are the angles, the quick pivot where he actually ends up behind his opponent at times.
You're exactly right. We started to see a sample of it in around the 5th round, but he completely abandoned it.
Well, this guy has caused him problems in his career in the first two fights, and he certainly caused him problems tonight.
And I think once again it's definitive that styles make fights. Oh, there goes a mouthpiece of Pacquiao, and that's call time.
And that could be a benefit to Marquez. All right, time is back in. There's about 20 seconds, I think, to go. Final round.
Marquez in the fight of his life. Will he get the victory?
Goes the looping right hand. He's landing the shots at the end of this round. 24-23. And Manny coming back. Both guys desperate right now. Both men must win this final round. It's that close. Manny nails him to the body with the right hand.
10 seconds left.
Listen to the crowd, folks. This is the way it's been throughout. That's it.
raising his hand in victory. And gentlemen, I have him the victor.
I gotta tell you, I agree with you, Mario. Juan Manuel wins this fight on my card. I believe he has won the fight.
And I've got him winning by 1 point, 115, 114. We'll see how it turns out.
Well, I scored each of the 3 fights for Juan Manuel Marquez, but I have to tell you tonight, I had doubts for the decision, but I think he definitely deserves the decision here tonight.
The most decisive of the victories, in my opinion, gentlemen. And I will be in the ring to speak with him personally.
Well, we haven't heard the decision yet, so...
We gotta wait. Remember, the first 4 rounds of the fight were really too close to call for us. I gave Pacquiao those rounds, and assuming the judges did, as Marquez definitely won 5, 6, 7, and 8. I gave him 9, but that could have gone either way. 10 and 11, I thought Pacquiao won, but 12, Marquez won, and therefore I have him winning by a point. And Rich has him winning by a couple of points. So this will be interesting, and I hope not controversial. If Marquez doesn't get this one, I think he's got reason to be really, really disappointed. Both guys think that they've won the fight. Only one of them has, unless it's a draw.
By the way, Harold Letterman, who scores for HBO, their unofficial judge doing the United States pay-per-view broadcast, has Manny Pacquiao winning this fight here tonight.
Well,
so that's why we now have to wait for the decision.
Absolutely.
A lot of close rounds, especially in the early going. The rounds were more definitive in the late going.
But don't forget, the judges are taking in, as the fans are, no matter how many fights you score when you see the flasher fighter, who is Pacquiao, in the early going. Remember, I had scored the first round even. If you give that to Pacquiao, I got it a draw. So, I mean, it could be 1 point, 2 points, one way or the other, with the, closeness of the rounds. We like Marquez, but we also have benefits that the judges don't have, and that's to see the replay and make our decisions real definitive.
Well, tremendous fight. Again, a different fight than their first 2. Not nearly as explosive. It had its moments in the second half of the fight where they began to throw down against each other.
But when Manny threw down, Marquez didn't go back. He exchanged with him. He didn't count him.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the MGM Grand, we go to the scorecards after 12 World Championship rounds. Robert Hoyle scores the bout 114, 114 even. Dave Moretti scores it 115, 113. Glenn Trowbridge 116 to 112 to the winner by majority decision. And still WBO welterweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of the Philippines, Manny Pacquiao.
It's got to be crushing for Juan Manuel Marquez. He was certain he won the fight. I had him up by 2 points at the end, 115, 113. But again, another devastatingly close fight.